Hello, and welcome to the Women of Wealth Show on Intellectual Radio. How you guys doing? I have a special guest I'm very excited about. You guys know I'm a huge advocate of domestic violence. So right now I have a queen. She has a powerful testimony. She also knows the vet as well. So right now, without further ado, I just want her to kind of explain who she is. She got this beautiful book I just purchased. She will be signing for me. So just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Yolanda. As you all know, I am one of the voices of domestic violence. I am an author, I'm a speaker, I'm an advocate, I'm a mother, first of all. I'm a Chicago native born and raised. And, I'm just love life. And I'm so happy to be here on today because this young lady right here, she said, I got to get you,
I,
girl.
I gotta get her. Matter of fact, not just get her, we need to see you. So let's fix this camera so they'll know who they talking to and what they dealing with. That's a queen, people. That's a queen right there. That's a survivor. So without further ado, can you kind of let me know what got you right here?
Well, what got me right here is that, I've experienced domestic violence. Domestic violence is not new. It wasn't new. Um, my first encounter of domestic violence, I was very young. I was like maybe, I want to say 19 or 20 years old.
Okay.
And not knowing what domestic violence really was, because I never watched it growing up. So I had a family where we was all well rounded. My parents, I never seen it growing up, so that was not something that was done in our home. So it was very foreign when I got with somebody that was um, portraying the abuse towards me. And I was like, what's going on with this person? But not knowing that a lot of domestic violence abuse stems from learned behaviors that's being watched in the home. So when it was done towards me, I thought it was just something that, it was going to be a one time thing. But then it was more than one time. And it didn't start off just physical. One thing we need to know is that domestic violence is just not physical. It does not just start off because it starts off very subtle. It's something that, you in the honeymoon phase. Oh, I love you, baby. You so special. You're the best thing ever. And, they woo us and know how to charm us and make us feel very special. So as time would go on, I would start seeing, the looks. And if the looks can kill, baby, trust and believe I would have been dead. Because when they look at you a certain type of way, like get in line, you better get in line. So I had my first child. My first child, I was the age of 16. Then I had my daughter. So I was in hair school. I love glam, baby.
I
Hey,
see. I
I am a
see.
glam girl, okay? Glam girl, okay? So yes, I love glam. I love makeup. I love doing hair and everything. So I went to hair school, and then I was after the hair school. I had a second child. That's when it all started. Like, um, I couldn't even, you know, be a mother to my child. He wouldn't allow me to pick up the baby, stuff like that. He was like on the side of the bed where instead of me grabbing the baby, he would grab the baby. And it was just like he was making me lose, the nurturing experience and stuff because my daughter had to stay in the hospital because she had yellow jaundice back then. We
Mhm.
had the jaundice thing going on. So I didn't wasn't able to really get a chance to nurture her. But as time would go on, I would run away. I would get busted nose, black eyes, and I just didn't understand it. So I always told myself I would never ever allow myself to go through that because I started hating myself. I started looking at the fact that what did I do? I'm not that type of person. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person. You don't have to control me by abusing me. All you had to do was say, well, whatever you wanted me to do, I would do it, but not abuse. So I think a lot of us, what we do is that we want to. We love the person, but we hate the abuse. So we accept it because it's for the sake of love. And I didn't really know what love was. I was young. So therefore, I was like, okay. So fast forward, going down the lane, I didn't realize that a lot of the relationships that I have been through, was it had the same characteristics, and it was not all physical. There was the mental, the emotional, the verbal, the psychological, gaslighting, when they also stonewalling you, making you talking, and then they just ignoring you, and damn, you gotta understand a narcissist. That narcissist, oh my
That
God.
narcissist behavior can be a bit much, huh?
Oh my God, it is terrible. And I didn't know because I wasn't educated. And that's one thing, the lack of knowledge, we all perish.
And that's why you're here,
And
because
that's
I need you. That's why
because
you're here.
I wanted to, I want to empower. I want to inform and educate victims of domestic violence, because one thing we all know is that um, being a victim is not of a position where you have to stay a victim. And not only women go through it, men go through domestic violence abuse as well. And the thing about, because it's not underreported, it's the no one is talking about it, does not mean that it's not existent,
Okay.
because it exists every day. And what we need to know is that what we need to do to help ourselves, we have to first make better choices. We have to make sure that we are making the choices that's gonna um, be feasible for our safety, because we are responsible for our safety.
Now, name some things we can do actually to protect our peace and to protect our safety.
Well, we have to be able to know, watch the warning signs and the red flags. So, a lot of times, like myself, when I was going through it, the writing was on the wall. And because the writing was on the wall, when I say the writing was on the wall, the behaviors, I seen it, but I ignored it. I dismissed it. Oh, it's okay. He's having a bad day. Oh, so we make excuses for bad behaviors. It may be one thing of a controlling spirit. Someone telling you, well, you don't go outside, or don't wear that. You don't look good in such certain things, or if you go outside or you do what I tell you not to do, it's going to be some consequences. So those right there are some warning signs, some red flags. Um, with my relationship, that was the first thing that I did not know, because I was like, I never experienced stuff like that. Someone controlling my life.
Okay. Can we go back a little bit and can you tell some of the things that happened that um let's kind of go back to the beginning, because right now where I work at juvenile detention,
Hmm.
and I'm noticing it is a pattern that the kids, and I've had Keisha tabs on, Dr. Tabs.
Hmm.
Uh, right now they're doing it now, but they're doing it playing and everybody want to
It's
play
horse
fight.
playing. It's what I call it is horse playing around, and it starts off just so, like, just a little horse playing, slapping, kicking, just, and then they come kiss you. Oh, baby, I didn't mean it, and then and then it starts escalating. So that's why it's important not to do it. You don't allow nobody to put their hands on you. No type, no shape, form, or fashion, even if it's play fighting, because that can escalate very quickly. And what it is about the young people, we think that it's cute. Oh, he loves
Oh, he
me.
love me. He's so jealous. He don't want me to do nothing.
Yep,
So
and they then that's when they start telling you, well, if you go outside, don't go no. They try to isolate you from all of your friends, family, and loved ones. Oh, don't nobody else want to be around you. You should be happy that somebody wants you. They start belittling you, making you feel worthless, got you walking on eggshells, scared to do everything.
now, how did you meet? How did you meet your partner at the time?
Well, how did I meet my partner?
Mhm.
Well, at that time, when my younger years, or you talking about this recent
Right.
latest
But
one?
one pattern I'm picking up on, it seems like sometimes I've had other domestic advocates come speak
Hmm.
that they keep actually attracting the same type of person
Hmm.
to their life. So I guess, yeah, the first time that
The
this happened.
the first time that happened was I met him because he was a cab driver. He was a cab driver, and it was just he was an older guy, And I guess I'm by me being young, I was like 18, 19 at the time.
The Jiffy cabs we used to
It
take
wasn't
back
the
in.
Jimmy, but it was one of them livery. Yeah, it was a livery cab back in the days.
Mm,
Back in the days,
yeah.
okay. Back
Back in
in
the
the
day.
days. So he was a livery cab driver, and I was young, and he had a car. He was really tall, dark, and handsome, and he used to sing. So, girl, he used to woo me just by singing to me, girl. And then that charm, it gets you, and then you be like, oh man. But it seemed to be really good at the time. But then I just started seeing other things. But I didn't know no better. I was young. I was afraid. I just knew that I can get to school every day because I was a hairstylist. I was going to hair school. So he would take me to school. I was able to go anywhere I wanted to go. He wasn't the best person to give money and stuff, but I always had my own. And I didn't know back in the days a man's supposed to give you this, give you that, but you know, my parents always told me, you you don't just um date, because my dad was like, I don't want you to be dating nobody because you still young. You need to get your schooling, you need to go to work, you need to do it, because I was already a parent at the age of 16. So then I knew after I had children, I had to be productive and I had to do what I had to do was necessary. So I worked. That's all I knew was to go to work. So I went to work. But the thing is, a lot of us women, we don't know what domestic violence is. We don't know that it's a form of power and control. And once that person has your control power, you're powerless. And they take over. And then you start feeling like maybe they right, maybe what they saying is right, because maybe my family and friends don't want to be bothered with me, or they just put so much in our heads and we start believing it when it's
So were
not the
you
truth.
isolated from your parents?
I was isolated. I was isolated. I couldn't even look in the next car. I couldn't even go downstairs and I lived on the third floor. They lived on the first floor. But when he said I cannot go downstairs, I could not go downstairs. I couldn't look out the window. Even when we're in the car, I couldn't even look in the next car because he'd think I knew the person. So those things you'll be like, what is wrong with a person that always think that you are going somewhere? I'm not going nowhere. I'm with you, but I don't know what be wrong with them. So that was the first encounter of my
And
journey
how
of
long did you
domestic
stay with
violence.
this person?
I stayed with him. My daughters were about, my oldest daughter was like 3 years old. So I would run away, but they would find, he would come find us, bring us back. And I could never understand, if you wanted to be with me, why do you want to abuse me? You want to go find me and bring me back so you can abuse me again. And he would throw things at me and I would cry. So he was like gaslighting me. Oh, what's wrong with you? You must be crazy. I ain't doing nothing to you. And I'm crying, you throwing stuff and hurting me, but making me feel like it's not nothing I did. I mean, like he did nothing wrong.
So that was what? How many years? About 5.
That was a total of, I want to say, 4 to 5 years I was with them.
So how did you leave that?
Actually, I had a savior, which was my next son's father. He came into the picture, and then
How did
this.
you meet him? You can't
Oh,
go anywhere.
all right. I did
Yeah.
meet him. I met him because guess what? He was my sister's boyfriend's brother. So he would come over to the house, and I was able to go downstairs. I don't know how, I can't remember how I started going back downstairs. And he was much younger than me, because age is nothing but a number, girl, as you all know. But he was much younger, like 7 or 8 years younger than me. But I was like, that boy saved my life. So I will start thinking I had some balls. Like, I ain't got to do what you want me to do no more. I'm like, then he ended up getting incarcerated. So that was the way out right there. So once he got incarcerated, I didn't have to deal with him anymore.
Okay.
So that was that chapter over with.
All right. Chapter 2.
Chapter two. Woo. Okay. Chapter two. I met someone else, which was with, like I said, he was my savior, and I was with this young guy. He was very young, but he was a true man. He came in like taking care of everything. We didn't have to want for anything, and I was with him for 7 years.
Did anybody know that you were getting abused? Like your parents, him, your sister?
Well, yes, my dad found out. And when I tell you he found out, he came upstairs and he was like with his peacemaker and told him, if you ever, don't you ever put your hands on my daughter because it's going to be a problem. So that was the last time he ever tried to put his hands on me. But before then, I was afraid. A lot of us, we are afraid. We don't want to talk about it. We don't tell nobody because of the shame. And people gonna be like, "Well, you with him anyway." But I don't know. I'm young. I didn't think like that. I was so happy go lucky. I was so like so in denial of everything. Just, just you could just pull a wool over my head and I believe whatever you say.
Right.
Back then, that was back in the days. Back in the day,
Okay.
back in the days, y'all.
I
Okay.
back. So chapter two.
Yeah. So, just being an experience of domestic abuse, I realized every relationship that I got into after that, it was not a physical, but it was more so of a verbal abusive relationship, mental, emotional, and verbal. Gaslighting, manipulation, manipulative, being controlled by what the things that people can do for you. And one thing I could say is that for the root of all evil is the love of money is the root of all evil. And I found myself being in relationships and thinking that I can be happy in a relationship where they just give and give and give and give it. And after that, there's always a price you have to pay. And I settled for being abused just for the love of money and the gifts and all the things that came with it. So I allow myself to be, excuse me, allow myself to be abused for the love of money.
When you were young, you didn't know.
Well,
I don't.
yeah, I was young, but I was at that time. I was in my 20s. My 20s. Right. You don't know
You don't. So what
because no
happened to
one
the
is
savior though?
education.
What happened to him?
He was. Oh my God. I think we outgrown one another. We had a son, and he ended up dating another young lady. And while I was pregnant, we just started outgrowing each other. But I still loved him, and I thought I wanted to try to get back with him, but that didn't ever happen. So I am next chapter
Next chapter, chapter three.
dealing with someone else. Oh my God. I'm telling you, girl, it was just like a roller coaster from one relationship to another relationship. And the relationship with my last son's father, my baby, because I had 5 children. And my son, his dad, he didn't last long because I started praying. I started praying and I asked God. I said, Lord, if it's anything that I should see, and I should not be with this man, because actually we was the day before we were supposed to say I do. And I prayed and I asked God to show it to me. And this man had been using drugs.
So you dodged. You
I
dodged
dodged
one
that bullet.
with that one.
I dodged that bullet.
Okay.
So yes, as that went on, I was free for a long time. I was basically enjoying my life, just getting Yolanda together. I was freewheeling. I mean, dating who I wanted to, seeing who I wanted to, just exploring, just
Well, you
enjoying my
needed
life.
that considering you had got connected at such a young age. So
I did. So as that time went on, I was dating. I started working this job, and I was a working for a transportation company. And this was in 2000, I want to say 2003, 2002, 2003, something like that. I was starting, and I'm not happy about this because I started dating a married man. I did. And I knew he was married, but th- there's always a but. But
I
that's
heard
still
you.
not right. It's still not right. Whether he was, they was on good terms or bad terms, separated or not, that's still marriage. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, he ain't. I, it wasn't no big deal to me because, like I said, he was good to me. He did a lot of great things for me, and I ended up being with him for 11 years. But the thing about that is the way you get them is the way you lose them. And I'm not happy about that because a lot of times what we do, we make other people hurt from just us trying to be happy. And but I pay for it because not only did I pay for it, I almost wasn't here. And I believe that's where it stemmed from because a lot of times we sin and we fall short, but we also understand that um, when we do things in life, it's going to come back full circle. And not saying that God allowed that He put it on me, but He allowed it to happen. So I was dating him, and then I met this last person, this guy that tried to take my life.
Okay, can you explain exactly what happened to get you to that point?
Well, yeah, I was with this guy, um, and we were almost breaking up, and it was times when I was, you know, dealing with him, straddling the fence, think I won't get caught. One day I let this new guy drive my car. That this guy bought, paid the car note, all that good stuff, caught me in the act, followed us, grabbed the dude, and the dude was like, "Oh, I'm just a church member, just a church member." So that was crazy. So I was really afraid because I was like, "Oh my God, this man's gonna
Oh, the
kill me."
married guy.
Yes,
He bought you a car?
yes. Bought me a car, paid the car note, gave me allowance, everything, everything. Then 9 yards. Okay. So I let this guy drive the car. Why did I do that? I did though. So, stuff is just started dwindling away. We just started, we just started just um, falling apart. I was still trying to save the relationship, but then again, I think this new guy was like pulling me in, wooing me, and all that good stuff. Like I said, for the love of money is the root of all evil.
Do you think you give the impression that you love money?
I don't. I don't because I don't love a person for what they can do for me, but trust and believe. I'm gonna if you offering it, I'm gonna accept it. But the thing is, I didn't put it out there like I needed this, I wanted this, or nothing like that. It was just those the type of guys that I was attracting. And don't get me wrong, trust and believe. I love a man that is he's a provider. He likes to make sure that his woman, gets the things that she desire and want. So don't get me wrong, honey. Trust and believe it. Okay. So yeah. This particular day, I met this guy. I was at a funeral. I went to a funeral. A friend around the corner, he got killed, and I went to the funeral. It was something about this guy. He was very charming, very handsome, tall. Girl, there's something about the men with them dobs, them walking suits. Girl, I'm telling you. He had a walking suit on. He had a dob. I mean, you would think he was like one of the aldermans, very good looking guy. So we locked eyes. And after locking eyes, we end up talking. And the conversation lasts. And then the next day, he was like, would you like to come by or whatever? I came by where he lived at. But this guy, he was very different from the rest of them because I had to groom him. I had to make
You
him,
became the groomer.
I was the groomer because he was the type of person. He didn't know anything about cell phones. He wasn't up to date. He wasn't up to date. So I had
So he was
groomed him.
older.
He was much older. He's 11 years older than myself. So I groomed him and I made him perfect for me.
Build a
Sometimes
bear.
build a bear. That's right, build a bear. Okay, so I made him perfect for me. So as I'm making him perfect for me, he was working a job. He was doing great things. Anything that I needed or wanted, I didn't even have to ask for it. He did it. Even if I didn't want money, I mean, he was just always give me, give. And I knew he was gonna do it. And I, put things out there, and not,
Like, man, I need a new cell phone case.
yeah, and then anything I wanted, I could get it from him. So there was nothing that I needed or wanted that I couldn't get, or anything like if my house need, like when I moved, I was getting ready to move to Hyde Park. So he packed up my whole house. I had a 5 bedroom duplex that I had to move out of. When I tell you, it took us days and days and days to try to get it together to move out. But he came in and got everything together. And then within a couple of days, he moved me to my apartment in Hyde Park. So I felt like, man, this guy is good. But before then, he had shown me some things that one day he was belligerent. He was disrespectful. He called me the B word, called me, said, I wish you would die. And I'm like, where did all this come from? He called my ex boyfriend and told him that I was with some other man or something. And I didn't understand. Why would you do that? So that pissed me off.
Did you tell him about your previous abusive relationships?
No, no, because I didn't want to do that. Because one thing you need to know about when you talk to people about your past relationships, that can be used against you. And it has. It can be used against you in a way where you be like, man, I'm just telling you. So, you can have some kind of empathy or compassion for what I've been through, not use it to use it against me and to make it worse, to open up those old wounds. And that's one thing that people do. They will use what your experience was, and they'll take it and they will hurt you with it. And you feel like, man, why do I got to relive this? Why do I have to go through this again? So with him, I just felt like everything was okay. But I started feeling like he was allowing me to lose myself because he was giving me too much, giving. And he was so nice to me. And I was like, what did I deserve? Well, sometimes we don't feel that we're well deserving of things,
Hmm.
and we are, of all good things that come our way. But because I didn't know that I was well deserving of every good thing at that time. So I was like, man, this man is really good to me. He was really good. My family loved him. My kids loved him. But then all of a sudden, one day, the switch turned. I didn't know this man was using drugs. But the thing is, he was controlling it. Um, he started eating a lot of sweets, and just his behaviors was up and down. It was times when he wouldn't talk to me days at a time. Was shut down. I didn't understand it, so I'm like, what's going on? So as time go on, um, we were just we were in a good place. I thought we were in a good place. He would drive my car. When he drive my car, he would make sure it was gassed up. It was always washed. He would, like, if I go places, he will come down and make sure that um he come park the car and I come up. If he cooked food, the dinner would be hot on the stove. So he was a really good guy. And I was like, wow, this is like a dream come true. That's what it was. It was like a dream. It was too good to be true. So from that, I thought maybe I was like, okay, I got a good guy. Not knowing that that good guy became a monster. And that's where the domestic started. It didn't start off physical. It was one time when it was more of a belittling. It was more of disrespect. It was times when he would throw my phone down the alley. He would, call me the B word. He would lock me out of my bedroom, do little things. And I was like, oh, he just wants some attention. We had one thing we had one day, I was going to a event in the park, and I guess he got mad at me, and my girlfriend loaded up in my car, and he got angry. And when I came back, all the top shelf alcohol was poured out and gone. So I'm like, okay, something is wrong with this person. Why would somebody do something like that? So after that, I was like, okay, I was like, I'm gonna put him out. But one thing you gotta do, you can't put the person out. Wow, they know it or they in the house. So the next day, I was laughing to myself. I was like, I'm gonna put this out. Yeah, you pull all my stuff out. You disrespected me. I'm like, okay, I got you. I put him out. When he called me. He was like, can I come home? I was like, no, you ain't coming. Come home where? You ain't got nowhere to come here. You're not coming. Then that's when, baby, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. You're not the B word. Forgive me. I won't do it again. I let him stay out there for like 2 or 3 days. But the compassion that I had in my heart for him, I allowed him come back. And then it was good again after, so long. That's what we go through. It be so good. That's the honeymoon phase. And then after that, that's when the tension building. Something I don't know. I never understood why all of a sudden we good in a good place, and then all of a sudden it just started going back downhill. And then the explosion starts. Okay, so you want to be disrespectful again? You want to start acting up? I got something for you again. Put them out again. So I put them out like a total of like 3 or 4 times. So after putting them out, I just was like, okay. I started letting and it's shame on me because I allowed it, and I felt like I allowed a lot of the stuff that went on. I should have put a stop to it, but I didn't because like I said, for the love of money is the root of all evil. And we feel like if we don't, we'll miss out. Or I loved him. Don't get me wrong, I did love him. But I didn't like the things that he was doing to me. And I started feeling like, okay, it's time to get even. And one thing I must share about this is that a lot of times when somebody is doing something to you, when you are being abused, you turn out to become an abuser as well. And you start like, I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever you doing to me. I'm gonna do it worse. And I was trying to figure out ways to make him feel worse than what he was doing to me, and that was not my character.
So you mimicked the behavior.
I
You
did.
matched his vibe.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So after that, I was like, man, I was just getting tired. And people started saying, Yolanda, be careful. One of my girlfriends, she actually called me and was like, the Holy Spirit told me for you to be careful because this man gonna do something to you. And I was like, girl, this man love me. I ain't thinking about him. He ain't gonna do nothing. Then one of my other girlfriends, I was on the phone because I was line dancing. She was in my face while I was on the phone with her. And I was like, get out of my face. I'm arguing with him. Why do I have to go through this with you? But then, yeah, I did. And she was like, Yogi, just be careful. I said, girl, I ain't thinking about this man. He ain't going to do nothing to me. So that was in, I
You
think,
he
early.
heard you say this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think this now, we're going to go past February because March get here. So March came around. Um, that's when it all started. It escalated. Um, he grabbed me one day and he pulled, and it's like he busted me in my lip. And I made excuse. Oh man, he didn't mean it. He just grabbed me and, he didn't mean to do that. So, like I said, we making excuses for bad behavior. And I was like, okay. So him, one day we good, but it never was ever an apology. And it's always going back to where we started from. Like, okay, well, we went down here, we doing this, but where I'm sorry. He never apologized for anything. And we just go back like ain't nothing ever happened. So
You got used to it as well?
I got used to it. It was just something of normal. We normalized a lot of these behaviors because we think that's normal. I thought a lot of stuff that I was going through was normal. And I didn't understand that it wasn't because I was never informed or educated about what it's supposed to really look like. All I think is that, domestic violence was just physical. Somebody just punching you, black eyes and bruises. I didn't know that it was a pattern or, just the
Mental.
mental, emotional, the verbal, the psychological, the financial, and also spiritual abuse. Because he never stopped me from going places. He just always would just be mad when I come back. And instead of him saying it, verbally expressing himself, he'll just have an attitude. And then that just ruins who make you feel bad for how you gonna be mad at me for something you did to me. And that don't make no sense to me. So I had to go through a lot of that. I had to go through the point of him disrespecting my kids, making them feel, telling them that they'll never be nothing, or disrespecting my daughter when she'll come get like maybe a jiffy cornbread out the cabinet. Don't you ever do stuff, telling them they belittle them, making them feel worthless and everything. He did that. And I told him, I said, let me tell you something. Don't you ever disrespect my children, ever again. And he never did it again because I had to bring it to his attention. Because one thing I could say, a lot of parents, they allow a lot of things happen in the relationship because of the love. I don't love you that much for you to disrespect my children. And I had to say something because they're looking at me like, you mean tell me you ain't gonna say nothing? So I had to say something. So when March came around, it was a normal day. I want to say it was March 19th. It was on a Friday. And I got up that morning. He got up that morning. And normally I take him to work every day. But for some reason, he never asked me to. I don't know if he had this itch or he was just like, I'm going to just go work and didn't come back. He didn't come back for days. He went on a binge. And I didn't know that he was using drugs. That's what happened. That's what came out after speaking with an old friend of his, and come to find out he was using drugs.
Heroin.
No, it was, I guess his friend, as a friend was saying, crack cocaine.
Okay.
But that crack cocaine told him to kill me. So Friday, there was no call, no show. Saturday, no call, no show. Sunday, that's when I started receiving calls later on in the evening. And I stopped answering the call. I didn't answer the call. So I was like, I'm not getting ready to be dealing with this right now. So he was leaving messages, answer the phone, getting very belligerent and, aggressive. And I was like, I ain't answering. So I know the next day, which is Monday, I had to answer the call because I know I was like, okay, I'm going to allow him to come back. I'm going to allow him to come back in. So when he came back, I didn't want him to come back early enough. I guess he went to work. But when it was time for him to come back, I was getting my son from school that day. And my son was like, when we got back to the house, I didn't know that he was already there at the building. He seen me drop him off. I never knew that. But he was calling me, asking me, oh, how long you going to be? Well, if this is after the fact. I'm thinking to myself, like, if he knew what time I was there, he watched me. Why is you asking me these questions? But I didn't know that he didn't see me because my son told me afterwards. He was like, Mom, he seen you. He was there. So I'm like, wow. So I went around the corner because like I said, I lived in Hyde Park around all the restaurants and stuff. So I came back. And from coming back, I end up parking my car. Someone told me to park my car around the corner. I don't know why. But I parked my car around the corner. And as I parked my car around the corner, I started walking, approaching towards the building. And when I walked towards the building, um, I don't know, I got close to the where the alley was because my building was like when you got to, it's not this type of alley that cars just go through. It's like you can go up through the part where the apartments are or whatever. So by the time I did, and the way the doorway was, you can wedge yourself in the door and nobody could see you if they walk in. So he ended up wedging his stuff in the doorway. I didn't see him. So once he came out, I froze. Oh my God, he caught me. So that's when he was telling me, oh, the doctor's saying that I'm stressed out. And I'm like, why is he telling me about the doctor? In my mind, I'm like, is this man gonna do something to me and just blame it on like he had a mental breakdown or something wrong with him? I didn't think like that. I didn't know. So we was coming up, and he was telling me that all this stuff as he walking up. Then so soon as we got to the kitchen table, I sat down, and he was telling me how he was stressed out, And I was like to myself, yeah, because we had a joint account, and I'm watching all this money dwindle out of this account. I could have took all the money out of the account, but I didn't. I didn't touch the money
Why?
just because I felt that that was his money, and whatever he do with his money is on him. So I didn't never touch it. I believe if I would have touched him, he would have came back because he wouldn't have nothing to work with. But I didn't, and but I never thought that the trauma that happened was gonna happen. So um, after that, he asked me. He said, "Can I take a shower?" And I told him I was like, "No." Just really, honestly, I wasn't just telling him no just to say no, being facetious. I was, just playing with him. Like, no. Then I said, no, go take a shower. So he ended up going to take a shower. And after he took his shower, he went to go to, my son was like, Mom, he asked you for the key card. Because a lot of it, I'm just going off of what I was told after the fact. So he asked me, can he wash clothes and stuff like that. So I end up allowing him to wash his clothes. And then at around about 10 o'clock, he was in the bed sleep. So I'll go in the room and he was a sound asleep. And I came back out just when, on my Facebook. It was around about 12 o'clock midnight. It was time for me to go to bed because I had to be up at 5 so I could go to work. I had to be at work at 7 every morning. So I got up and I went to bed. But guess what? I didn't wake up the same way I went to sleep. I didn't. Could you imagine going to bed one way and waking up, being shaken by someone else? I can remember listening, and I don't know if this ringing that I was hearing in my brain saying, "You're snoring," and all the next thing I knew, I was out. I don't know if I was trying to block it, but I was all cut up. This person that that I trusted with my life, he decided to take my life, tried to take my life. He went and got a hammer, and he brutally beat me and left me in a pool of blood to die. And my son was my hero. My son was in the next room. He said he couldn't go to sleep that night. He said he felt that something was going to happen. And um, I don't know. I think I failed him sometimes because just him and I was in the house, and he was telling me, "Mom, you need to just put him out." And I'm like, "Oh, I ain't worried about him. He ain't gonna do nothing to me." Because he would lock me out of my bedroom. He would just do stupid stuff. And I was just like, "Oh, he just wants some attention." But then I felt like I failed my son because he had to endure that. And
How old was he at the time when the attack occurred?
my son was 17. He was 17 years old. And when I came to, I was shaken. First of all, I just give God the glory
It's okay.
because I'm here.
Yep.
I am here.
Yep.
Oh my God,
And you
the
helping so many other people.
the injuries that I've sustained. Even the doctor said, "Ma'am, we don't even know how you are here. You are a miracle." And there was no brain damage. This man crushed my skull, broke all of my facial bones were broken and shattered on the left side. That's why they had to remove my eye because it was too badly damaged. I have gashes in the back of my head. I had to have braces on my teeth to rebuild the bones back so I can smile again.
They beautiful.
They straightened my teeth out really good. I was in a deformed, very disfigured. But when I got to different doctors and I just was crying because I was so disfigured and I was like, oh my God, I look like a monster. The first thing the doctors would say, man, we don't know if we can get you to look like what you used to, but we're going to try our best. And when I tell you I had the best plastic surgeons, I had to have 13 reconstructive surgeries. I also was a donor. I was my own donor. They had to take the tissues and the muscles out. They had to reconstruct my face because it'll still be swollen over here. But but God, I give God the glory. Because if it wasn't for him and my son, I would not be here today.
Now, you stated that when you was in the bed, he went and found a hammer and tried to beat you to death.
Yes,
And your son saved your life. How?
he came in the room. First, he said he was afraid to come in because he seen the guy with the hammer standing at the door. And he said the guy was in a state of shock, like he couldn't believe what he had just did because he said the room looked like it was a horror flick. He said it was blood all over the walls, everything, because he beat me just that bad. And he said it was blood from the bedroom to the front door and with a hammer in his hand. And he said that he was afraid himself, but he said that he just told him, just leave, just leave. And he got me some help. And I could just hear faint sounds and stuff. I was in and out because I didn't know what was going on. And I'm hearing my son hysterical calling people and like he's screaming like help, help. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing when I really came back to was when the paramedics, the firefighters, and they were coming, was asking me questions, who what my name was, do I know this person that did this to me? And I asked myself, well, what happened to me? Because I'm looking in the mirror and all this is out. And I'm like, and then I'm seeing all this brain matter that was in the bed. And I'm like, what is this? What happened to me? And that's when my baby was like, Mama, he beat you with a hammer. And the first thing I was like, well, why would somebody do something like that? I didn't understand. So he thought I was deceased. They had it as if I was deceased. But I'm here. I am here. Um, they uh they took me to the University of Chicago Hospital where I laid there like 3 hours before they would even transport me because they said that they couldn't do anything for me. I was in too bad of a shape. They said, we can't do anything for her. So they had to airlift me to Mount Sinai Hospital. And when they did, they saved my life there. And they had to do emergency surgeries. And they had to put a metal plate in my skull. And they had to take my eye out. And I can remember them asking me, can you see? And I'm like, I can't see. And they kept putting lights and trying to figure out ways to see if I can see. And it was like, we cannot allow you to keep this eye in because it'll set up infection because it's too badly damaged. So we're going to have to take it out. And at that time, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about living. I just wanted to live my life. I wanted to live. I kept telling myself, I said, just don't let me die. And they told me, you're going to live. You okay? You talking. And all I remember is being at the hospital, waking up to everybody just coming in, out the hospital. I mean, people, it was so many of my family members, friends. It was just like everybody heard about it and they was just up at the hospital. And I was just looking one side, then the next side, then somebody else, somebody. I was just so happy to be alive. I never cried. People's like, they were crying, but I'm crying. I never cried. They was like, you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm here. So it was so refreshing. It was just amazing how God can turn something so bad and just turn it for my good. I'm so elated that God, He does perform miracles. And when I tell you, if you never seen a miracle, you are looking at one. So I had to learn how to rebuild my life. I had to turn the lemons into lemonade. I became an advocate. I was, dealing, first of all, I had to lose everything. I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my place where I live. I lost everything. But God gave me so much more. People was just pouring into me, blessing me. Don't get me wrong, that PTSD is not no joke. And you already know.
I already know. Yeah, it's not.
It's not no joke.
You
And
had your good
then,
days and your bad days.
and I do. Because some days I be crying and I don't know why, but I do know why. Because I'm not where I want to be in life. But I say, you know what? God allowed this to happen to me for a reason. He allowed me to go through this and have a platform where I can help save lives because that's my purpose. I didn't know what my purpose was before. I couldn't tell you that I had a purpose of helping and saving other women from domestic violence abuse or just giving them the tools to make avenues to get a safety plan and how to navigate it and how to trust somebody and to be able to not tell your partner that just because you mad, oh, that's why I'm gonna leave you. You cannot ever tell someone that you're gonna leave them because it does not work well. Leaving also does not always equal safety. You have to come with the exit strategy. You have to have someone that you can trust. I am also team therapy. Therapy is one of the most important things, having someone to talk to so it can help you navigate what your emotions and feelings, what you're feeling on the inside.
Mhm.
And knowing that, first of all, domestic violence is never your fault. It's never your fault. No matter how much we think that, what did we do? I'm still struggling. I still struggle with why and how did he did I allow this to happen to me?
You didn't allow anything to happen.
I'll be sometimes I want to know. Sometimes I just want to ask him why did he do this to me?
So where is he now?
He's in prison.
Have you reached out?
I haven't reached out, but he's not supposed to reach out to me. But he tried to call me, but because of the judicial system and stuff, I just didn't want to talk. But I do want to ask him, what did I do to for you to go do this to me? You tried to take me away from my family. You know,
How many years did he get?
they gave him on a plea deal 12 years,
That's
12
it?
consecutive years for attempted murder with injuries to kill.
So how many years does he have left?
He's got 6 more years. It just happened March 26, 2016. So every year I celebrate my life. My rebirth celebration was March 22nd. And I just thank God that He allowed me to be here to show people what an image of what God's miracle really truly looks like. Because you don't have to lay down and die and not overcome it. Because one thing is important is the forgiveness. We have to learn to forgive. And I struggled with that at first because I was like, why do I have to forgive somebody that tried to take my life?
That's for you and not for them.
But it wasn't for him, it was for me.
That's for you.
And once I got that out, I was so free and I was able to talk about it and I was able to feel so relieved. I felt like a burden it was lifted up off of me. So I know that it's important, guys. If you are struggling with forgiveness, unforgiveness, please forgive. How can we ask God to forgive us if we can't forgive man? Because the forgiveness is not for that person, it's for you. It's for us. Also, don't walk around being bitter and being angry because that causes other problems in your health. Live your life, the rest of your life, the best of your life. Be confident. I had to learn to be confident. I had to learn that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. You don't have to be beautiful on the outside to be beautiful. You can be, as long as you have a beautiful heart, you are beautiful. I haven't. My organization is beautifully scarred. And I am
Mm.
so honored to have an organization which I'm still it hasn't up and running yet, but be on the watch out
We
because
looking.
beautifully scarred is coming. I just got my logo yesterday,
Congratulations.
and it's amazing because I wanted to give back. I want to help other women to know that they are still beautiful. Not only women, I want to gear because the organization is geared towards domestic violence for women, men, and children. And not only because a lot of times men, when they go through it, they don't have resources. And we need the trauma recovery. We need the resources that we can get back on the feet. We need transportation. We need places where they can go to and have a safe haven and be able to have someone to
Soon as you get
trust.
everything, I need you back
So,
here so we can
yes,
promote you. We can help you fundraise because I know you're gonna need a lot of money.
yes,
So we're gonna be putting some fundraisers on for you.
yes.
We're gonna make this happen.
That's my passion. And I see it so much because a lot of people, when they go through domestic violence, when you lose so much, I didn't have a someone to bounce back. I had everything that I'm still rebuilding my life. I'm still not where I want to be. But but God, He's directing my path and He's orchestrating everything to come in a way that it should come. So a lot of times, sometimes we want to be so quick, like the microwave oven. We want things to come right now, right now, right now. But it's not in our timing. It's in God's timing because we have to allow God to let His will be done. So in all things,
You gotta come back. But before we close out, and I know it look like it's wrapping up for me. Could you
yes,
please sign my book and
yes,
could you tell me
ma'am.
about your book right here? Get it from where can they purchase?
Okay, so this right here, I am one of the Gone Girls. I am representing today the Gone Girls, which is curated by Angela John Johnson and three other women. So it's 23 women, but two passed on. So it's 21 written over. We shared all of our stories in the book, and my insert is on chapter 14 and it is Beauty for My Ashes. And that was so significant to me because me being so disfigured, so, what the devil meant for ugly, you know, it could still be beautiful. So I wanted, I didn't want it to look like, okay, Yolanda, you done been through this, but I want to still have some beauty out of it.
And you are. You
Thank
have a
you.
beautiful spirit and you got swag and you are
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. You're
So
so
can you
sweet.
sign that for me? I
So
know we gotta
yes,
wrap it up.
okay. So yes, I would definitely be signing this book. So this is beautifully scarred. I'm gonna put it on chapter 13. I'm gonna write. I'm gonna sign it
Please
for
write
you.
where you are because what you went through, you are awesome. You are a soldier. And the fact that you can still smile, the fact you can
Thank
still
you.
thank God and be grateful for God, I appreciate you.
Yes, so
So
these are women, some amazing women in the book. So you all, somebody, you may see yourself in one of these stories. So that's why they were all writing the story. It's amazing book. So you can go on Walmart.com. You can go on Target. You can go on what's that, Barnes and Noble. She has it on Amazon. It's a
okay.
few more other places that you can get it on. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But these are some places
Places
that
we
you
can
can go.
go.
Yes.
Thank you, Yolanda Carter, a domestic violence advocate. She also started a new organization. She will be back when we get everything together. So thank you guys for joining Intellectual Radio on the Women of Wealth show. We'll see you soon.